Hi, I'm Ronnie Ciago, and welcome to the Ronnie Ciago Show. My guest is Bobby Owsinski, my longtime friend.
People try to put us to down, talking about my generation, just because we get around, talking about my generation. Things they do look awful, talking about my generation. I hope I die before I get old, talking about my generation. This is my generation, baby.
How long we got together?
Oh, a long time.
At least 30 years.
At least.
We met when
yes.
we were like 10, right? I was 10 years old and Bobby was 11. So, Bobby, give me the story about how it all began. You were born where?
I was born in Minersville, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Little town, 5,000 people.
Wow.
And I was playing in bands, probably like you, from the time I was maybe 14. Mm-hmm. But I was playing 4 nights a week in clubs by the time I was 16.
Oh, wow.
So I had a lot of experience. And then I was kind of lucky because I got in the biggest band of that era, the area. Then we got a record deal. And we were up and down the East Coast touring.
Like a circuit kind of thing?
Yeah, yeah.
It was a club circuit or
It was
original?
a club circuit, yeah, a bigger club circuit.
Okay.
And then the record didn't do all that well. It wasn't all that good. I would never play it for anybody.
We found a rock crossing. We found a rock crossing. We found a rock crossing. Rock crossing. Now the band is coming on. We found a rock crossing. We found a rock crossing. We found a rock crossing. Rock crossing. Now the band is coming on. We found a rock crossing.
But that being said, it gave me the impetus to want to learn how to be a record producer, being in the studio and everything. So then I went to Berklee College of Music. I don't know if it was the best move, but I met a lot of people and I kind of got some composition and arranging chops. Because I had a degree in electronics and I also had all the studio experience, and they needed somebody. This is the beginning of the studios at Berklee. So I became...
Like for engineering?
For engineering, I became a part-time instructor and then a full-time instructor at Berklee.
At Berklee School of Music?
Yeah, for a couple of years.
Oh, okay. What year was that?
I got there late 77. I left...
That's just about when I left.
Late 79 is when I left.
Okay.
And what made me decide to leave, I went into the teacher's lounge one day, and there was somebody ranting and raving and saying, "Oh, this is a place for rookies or has-beens." And I thought, I don't want to be either one of those. So that's when I decided to move to California.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and I've been here since 1980.
Well, now we're in California, and you came here in California about what year? 78, 79?
No, in 1980 I came.
1980.
And just like everybody, I came here at $600 in my pocket.
Yeah.
And stayed on people's couches for a while and took every gig I could, which meant playing, it meant engineering, it meant arranging, it meant, whatever you could to make a buck.
Yeah.
And the good thing is you meet a lot of people and you all come up together sort of.
Yep.
Our mutual friend Paul Ill, I had known from Berklee.
Oh, okay.
So, and that's how we met, through Paul. As a matter of fact, you were playing across the street from where I was playing.
Tony Mart's.
You were at Tony Mart's and I was at Bayshores across the street. So,
did you see us play there? Because we
No.
had all the guys in the band were from Berklee.
Yeah.
The whole horn section, guitar player.
It was Walter, right?
Walter.
Walter Turbot. Yes.
Walter Turbot, and he ended up producing Julian Lennon and all these
Yeah.
different people, right?
Peter Frampton for a little bit. I think he worked with him for a bit.
He was with Julian Lennon for a while, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, again, you stay in business long enough, you meet a fair amount of people, and
Right.
the interesting thing is everybody that I knew that kind of stayed in the business became successful, but not necessarily as a musician. Some people went into manufacturing, music gear manufacturing, and became VP of product development. And other people went into publishing, music publishing, management. So, but everybody became moderately successful. And that's the interesting thing. You find places where you can go and other
Right.
things you can do. Just like you do so many different things.
Yeah.
You're teaching, and you're doing concerts, and you're doing this, and
Gigs.
a lot of different things.
Yeah, academies, teaching in academies,
Yeah.
lots of concerts, lots of gigs,
Yeah.
a lot of recording sessions.
Sure.
When we first started hanging together, I was doing recording sessions for you.
Yes.
Did you have your own label?
Yeah, it's kind of fuzzy, to be honest with you. It wasn't my label. It was a label called Shattered
Shattered Records.
Records.
Yeah, and then he had his store in Hollywood, which I thought was
Yes, and he had a
fantastic.
record store.
They had all these bootleg records, and man, it was like, wow, such a cool place.
Yeah. So I did a lot of records for him as a producer.
Oh, okay.
A lot. I probably did a dozen records for him over the course of a couple,
Okay.
3 years. Again, he was an entrepreneur. He was one of these guys that would go, yeah, let's make a record. Let's do this. Go do it. Do it now.
I remember he brought his truck in, right?
Yeah.
He had a mobile truck,
Yeah.
and we were playing a concert. He just bought all the mics. So
Yeah.
And Mick Taylor was going, "Where's my guitar?" He's yelling at my drum tech. He goes, "I don't know what your guitar is."
Yeah. I don't know that he had one. I think he probably borrowed one from
He
a
borrowed
fan.
Wait a minute, you're Mick Taylor from the Stones.
Yeah.
I don't have a guitar. I don't.
Then
Then we went on the road for a while together.
yes,
Right?
yes, as a matter of fact.
Yeah,
So it was an interesting time.
it was.
And it basically, that particular tour made me decide to stop being an active player, to be honest with you, because I just had enough at the end. And I decided to concentrate more about studio, just being in the studio.
Yeah.
So I transitioned to, I still
It was
played
right
a little
around that
bit.
time when we were touring.
Yeah. So I transitioned to studio as an engineer, as a producer, and did a lot. And basically what happened was, so that was through the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the 90s, this new format called 5.1 came out, surround sound.
That's right.
And I was one of the first people to get into mixing that. So that's where I got a lot of my really good credits, Judas Priest and Neil Young and Paul Simon, and, doing surround sound
For their
versions
records.
for the DVDs.
So the producer would send you the tracks, and then you would make them into surround sound.
Sometimes it would be that. Sometimes it would be, well, here's stereo. See if you can make it into surround.
Oh, wow.
And we came up with a method that actually did that. Before there was an electronic method. Electronic method made it really easy. But
So you would make the surround sound just out of a 2-track?
Yeah, sometimes out of mono, believe it or not. But again, it was a clever way of shooting the music into the studio and miking different surfaces. I mean, it was immersive, let's put it like that. It was around you, and it gave you a feel of surround.
I remember
It was
when
great.
I think it was like I learned it from you when you first started doing it. I go, what is surround sound? Well, there's speakers in the back of you. They're
Yeah.
kind of all over the room.
Yeah,
And I said, wow, that's a whole different way of listening.
yeah.
And now you
it's-
hear everything.
Yeah, and now with the immersive formats at Atmos and Sony 360 RA, it's kind of the same thing, only more.
Oh, yeah.
But see, the whole thing that happened there was like tons of work because nobody else was doing it. It was me and a few other people.
Oh, wow.
So we got all this great label work for a few years. And then it turns out that not many consumers cared one way or the other.
Had the five.
Yeah. And usually they would buy us a system, a 5.1 system, and the speakers would be, all over the place. Instead of in the right places.
Right.
So then the labels started to cut back, and basically it was like, well, now you have to do 3 times the work for a third of the money. One of those things.
Wow.
And that's kind of the same thing that's happening now in the immersive audio thing. The immersive audio came about a few years ago, Dolby Atmos especially. I saw that and I thought to myself, I've been there before. I know exactly what's going to happen here. So I didn't go down the rabbit hole. Of course, I've played with it and I've mixed it, but I didn't go down the rabbit hole of actively trying to get a lot of work for it, because it's like, I know what's going to happen. I've been there. And sure enough, it's exactly what happened, where there's not a lot of consumer demand for it. The labels want to do it because it's another copyright that they have, that they own. So it's a good thing for them. But beyond that,
it's like another format. We have stereo, and now we have this.
Yeah.
But then you have to sell the system to play those, right?
It is backwards compatible, so you will get stereo out of it, but it's
both.
not perfect. But you can do it. So that was the whole deal. It's like, well, why? Let's just do it in Dolby Atmos, and then get stereo too. It doesn't quite work that way, but that was the idea.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You did recordings with Neil Young. I read The Who.
Again, I did the surround sound mixes for the DVDs. So, for instance, I did Quadrophenia for The Who.
Oh,
I think I might have done another one. Kids Are All Right, I think. And basically about 120 different titles. Some were TV shows. I think I did the whole Monkeys, the whole series. I think I did
the
that.
Monkeys?
Yeah, the Monkeys. Yeah, I remixed that for DVD.
Okay.
There was plenty of work. So I was 24/7 basically for 2 years, solid 2 years, maybe 3, just doing that. And the bad part was I didn't get to meet a lot of these people because they didn't come to the studio. I'd get the tape. Weird Al did show up. I did one of his things and he showed up, and he was surprisingly different from, the way he normally is.
He lives in the valley, right?
He sat in the back, hardly said a word, and he answered fan mail the whole time. And every now and then he'd look up and he'd make a comment. That was a very nice guy, but he wasn't quite as outgoing as kind of expect. But he was one of the few that did show up, in the studio, just for approval. Most of the time I'd do it, send it off, and they'd like it or they wouldn't.
So tell me about, I know you did a lot of work with the producers the engineers that work with Beatles.
Yeah.
And tell me about them. Give me some names and tell me how that all happened. It was with the Apple recording studio and the tracks and.
Yeah, I was lucky. This was after I started to write books, and they were successful.
Okay.
And my publisher said, "How would you like to write a book with Ken Scott, who was one of the 5 Beatle engineers?"
Scott, yeah, that's right.
So I said, "Yeah, of course." So it was his autobiography that I helped him write. But it was great because after 40, 50 years, you don't remember a lot of the things. And he would just say, "Oh, I don't remember. Call this person up. Call this person." So next thing you know, I'd be talking to all these people from back then. And after a while, I almost felt that I was there, because I talked to so many people.
So recordings like, give me some albums, some let's say Beatle records.
Oh, yeah. Well, for instance, he did the White Album.
The White Album. Now, Ken was, how old was he? He was like 20 years old, I think.
He was pretty young. He might have even been, less than that, 18. But he came up through the EMI system at Abbey Road. I also got to meet and know kind of well Jeff Emmerich.
Yeah.
He did the majority of the Beatles'
Right.
big hits.
But we're going back from Sgt. Pepper, or
Yeah,
before
yeah,
that?
and he did the
Revolver.
he-
I mean, we go back that far.
yes, and he also did Abbey Road as well. Gee, I get goosebumps when I think about this. So I knew Jeff, and we're kind of friendly. And we're in San Francisco at an AES convention. And I'm walking down one side of the street, and Jeff is walking on the other side of the street. And I see him, and I wave, and he stopped, and he walked across the street to say hello to me. I thought, this is amazing. This is just, thank you.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, he's a true legend, because
Yeah.
if it wasn't for him, I mean, yeah, the Beatles and George Martin, but he was be able to bring up the sound
Yes.
to make the sound happen like that.
And he was so humble about it. I found out after he passed away that he lived in the same house in the Hollywood Hills for 25 years.
Huh.
None of his neighbors knew what he did. None of them were aware of the connection with the Beatles or with any of the other acts that he did. He just never talked about it. He talked about gardening and stuff.
We could talk about all the other acts, but it doesn't go any. When you say Beatles,
Yeah.
that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I
Because
know.
they started everything,
Yeah, yeah. And I was lucky enough. I met a couple of them. I met Ringo once,
Okay.
and I was in a studio and we were mixing, and he was in one of the other studios, and you can feel when the door opens behind you, And I felt the door open and didn't think anything of it. And then a little while later, I turned around and there was Ringo, and he was leaving. I went, oh man, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then I met George Harrison just by dumb luck. I had a friend that got me these tickets. He had some extra tickets that somebody gave him for a Ravi Shankar concert.
Oh, okay. And what year was this?
This would have been mid-90s. So it was row AA, I'll never forget, on the ticket. And I gave it to the usher, and the usher said, oh, you're way up there, and took me to the balcony at the very last row. I thought, well, it's free, okay. And the usher up there says, no, that's down there. And I was front row center. So I turn around, and there's a guy that looks like George Harrison next to me. But I wasn't quite sure because he was dressed fairly commonly. He had like a plaid T-shirt, and he was
jeans.
Yeah, it looked like he just came in from gardening, really. And we chatted for a little bit about nothing, and we chatted, and then of course Ravi started to play, and I still wasn't sure.
Wait, you were chatting with George?
Yeah, with George, but it was just silly stuff.
Because he was a gardener too, wasn't he?
Yes, right. But the thing but I wasn't quite positive it was him. Yeah. I should have been, but I wasn't. And it wasn't until at the end of the concert was over, and George gets up and he goes on the stage and he hugs Ravi, and I said, okay, yeah. Wow. That's affirmative, yeah, that's him. But that was my only brush with him. Other than with Ken Scott and hearing the stories with Ken, because
and George was the one who discovered Ravi, wasn't he? Even though he was famous in India.
Yeah.
But George found out, and he's the one who brought him into the Beatles.
But I have to say, there was something about Ravi. I also went to a party that Ravi was at, and he was in another room, and there was all these people that were crowded around him, and it was one of these things where like there's this aura around. There's this light. He was just so different, and everybody was drawn to him. Yeah, it's like there's very few people in the world that are like that. Again, it was kind of like he was just shining in the middle of the room. I never experienced that either.
Yeah, Ravi Shankar.
So
and Alaraka.
Yeah, right.
Two of them. They would just take over.
Yeah, they're cool.
They do the Monterey Pop Festival, and of course they did the Bangladesh Festival.
Yes, right.
I mean, they did millions of concerts all over the place. But the biggest one Because when George brought him over, there was the Bangladesh concert,
Yes,
right?
right.
And then, who was in that concert? Eric Clapton.
Yeah, it was everybody. Yeah, everyone who was
Dylan.
anyone. I just read some good stories about that where apparently they had a multi-track coming from the record plant and it fell off the truck as they were loading it in. Smashed a million pieces.
The Bangladesh concert?
And for the Bangladesh concert to record it. So they thought, oh, this is never going to get recorded. And right at the last minute, they managed to get another one. Of course, they're in New York, so it's easier to get those things. But yeah, all the things you never hear about behind the scenes.
When I was a kid, I must have been 13 or 14 when it came out. And I think it was a 3-record
Yes.
box. I still have it. And I think I listened to it 1,000 times.
Yeah. And that was actually one of the first live concerts that I think went platinum, that, really did well. And it convinced the record labels that was a business. They could do more of that.
When that happened, I actually went to there was another one after that. And I went to it.
Did you really?
Yeah, I was at that one.
I think
it was at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
And it was the same lineup, Badfinger, the same exact lineup. Leon Russell, Ringo, everybody, Jem Keltner. It was that concert, but they just did another one. I guess the first one did really well. They sold the records, and then they did another one after that.
I didn't know that.
Because I wanted to say, well, I was at Bangladesh, but I wasn't. It was the one after.
Well,
it was right after. I think it must have been a 1 year, maybe 2 at the most.
You're at one of them. So
Yeah.
that's more
Same
than most
lineup.
people can say.
It's great, man.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that.
Very cool.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Ronnie Ciago, and you're watching Rockefellers TV.
Is your business lost in the desert? Tired of dull billboards? Want your business to shine? Visit amgbillboards.com. Take your advertising to the next level. amgbillboards.com.
Time to get your rock on with Rockefellers TV. You can now watch Rockefellers TV on any smart TV and smart devices. Rockefellers TV is now on Apple and even Apple TV, Android and Google Play stores, Samsung Smart TV and even LG TV, Roku TVs and devices, Amazon App Store, Fire Stick and even Amazon TVs, Google TV and all smart TVs. Simply go to your smart device app store and download Rockefellers TV. For further information about Rockefellers TV and smart device apps, please go to rtvapp.com or rockefellerstv.com. Rockefellers TV. Get your rock on.
Take your brand national with Rockefellers TV and AMG Outdoor Advertising. It's easier than you think. Join the thousands of advertisers who have built their businesses reaching America's most influential audiences. Be creative. We can help. Rockefellers TV and AMG Outdoor Advertising starts here. Advertise with us today.
Okay, so let's talk about some of your books.
Oh, okay.
So you put me in a few chapters in this book.
Yeah, my writing came about by accident. First, I started to write for magazines, music magazines, Mix, EQ, Grammy magazines, some for Billboard, and of course I was an engineer. That was kind of what I did on the side.
Yeah.
But I did hundreds of articles and hundreds of interviews, so I met a lot of people doing that. And I was an engineer. I was a good recording engineer, but I was not a good mixer.
Oh.
But I knew all the best people in the world because either I had interacted with them in the studio or I met them by interviewing them for a magazine. So I thought, well, if I feel like this, there's probably a lot of other people that do as well. So let me write a book on mixing. And most people discouraged me. They said, it's too subjective, you can't do that. I thought, well, I want to learn how it's done, so let me just interview all these people.
So is that this mixing?
Yeah, that was the first. That's the 5th edition, but the 1st edition was the one we're talking about. The first book. When it came out, it was a hit because there was nothing like it on the market. When I first started, I really struggled with my own mixes. I was a good recording engineer and worked on some great projects with some amazing artists and brands, but my mixes would barely cut it. I was lucky enough to know some of the best mixers in the business, though, and I asked them how they mixed the many hits they worked on. They not only told me, but they showed me how they did it, and soon I was working on some of the top projects in the world. Since I had struggled so much with my mixes, I knew there are others out there like me who would benefit from what I learned, and the result was the first edition of the Mixing Engineer's Handbook way back in 1999. Since then, it's become a standard textbook in recording and music production programs around the world. In fact, I'm proud to say that a whole generation of hitmaker mixers learned from this book.
So you talk about plugins.
No, this is way
gear.
before. This was in 1999 when it came out.
Before, yeah.
And
that's right. There wasn't plugins. It was
no
actual outboard gear.
Yeah, no, it was all in a studio. So the first edition was very studio oriented, big studio oriented, especially. And as we got to different editions, then it got more, home studio and plugins and digital audio workstations. I knew all these great mixers and I interviewed them, and then I realized that these are interesting just on their own. So I included them in the book, and it became kind of secret sauce, so to speak, because having these interviews are like I say, interesting to people. So about half the book, third of the book is that. Most of my books are like that.
And it's not like 10 pages. We're looking at how many pages?
Yeah, that's about 400 pages.
400?
That's a big one, yeah. That's a big one.
It's like going to college.
It's got, and speaking of which, yes, it's a college textbook. All these are college textbooks.
And you can get them at Berkeley School of Music. Yeah. Where else are they?
Yes.
Give me some names of schools.
Colleges all over the world.
Over the world.
You name college and they use it.
All over the world?
All over the world.
We're talking anywhere, Europe?
Yes, Asia, all over the world.
Okay.
I've been lucky that it's been adopted and people like it and they still do like it. What it does is it forces me to update it every couple of years because they need something fairly new, to keep in their curriculum.
That's true.
But the good part is it does keep me keeps me up with the technology because I have to be. But anyway, that's become a good one. After, it's funny, when everybody writes their first book, they always say the same thing. I'm never going to do that again. Because a lot of brain cells die.
I mean, but that's a lot of research. 400 pages.
Yeah. Well, don't forget, a lot of it's interviews with people too.
And okay, so you're writing the book, and you just had your typewriter, your computer.
It was computer at the time. Yeah. And then the publisher said, this book's a hit. You should write a second one. So, okay. So that became the Recording Engineer's Handbook.
Okay. Now we have
that one.
Now we're on this one.
That's the 5th edition as well. So the first edition came out in 2001, I think.
Okay, so now say 5th edition. So the first one came out, second one, third, fourth, fifth.
Yeah.
So they just updated, upgraded, new stuff.
About 20%, at least 20% is new.
Okay.
And sometimes it's way more. I think about the 4th edition that
you just added more stuff.
Well, the technology had changed, especially in the studio.
That's true.
Weren't using big studios. We're using home studios. So
that's right.
The focus changed. So there's a big overhaul on both of those books.
Right, because you're recording, and back in the day, you had to have that outboard gear, which was really expensive.
Well, yeah.
And then people that don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
But that was the sound, right?
Yeah.
On tape. And you might have to cut tape once in a while.
Yeah, I know. It was.
But it's nothing like that sound.
Some would say that we hit the peak of audio quality in late 1970s, for that matter. And I don't think they're wrong. But people don't care so much about the quality these days. So, we do the best we can to make it as good as possible.
Because when you had an actual LP, the little lines on the record, they all meant something, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So then when it went to CD kind of downgraded a bit, right?
Some would say yes, some would say no.
Sometimes cassettes sounded better than the.
I'll give you an example.
Tape.
I've taught in several colleges, did short 2 and 3 year stints teaching colleges. And there's one where I took my mastering class to a facility, a pressing facility, city of industry down here near us.
Yeah.
And the first year we went, it was all record presses. The next year, it was all, they pulled most of them out and it was all CDs. But they still had cassette duplication. And I can remember that they had a QC room off to the side. And I got to talking to the manager about quality of cassettes. And he said, oh, wait, let me show you something. And he pulled one off the line, cassette, normal cassette. We went into the QC room, and when he played it back, I was shocked how great it sounded. And when we talked about why, it was, well, look, we're using this $2,000, cassette machine, but it's aligned perfectly. We align the heads, and nobody ever does that, on their home machines. And this is why it's possible for it to sound good. It just never does because people don't do that. Or they're listening to crappy machines. So it got a reputation that maybe it wasn't deserved, the format. That being said, cassettes are coming back.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
They are?
Yes.
Cassettes?
This is around the world.
Okay.
There are cassette-only labels. Not only that, there are lots of bands that will do cassettes now because they're cheap. You can buy them and run off copies relatively inexpensively.
Yeah.
And that's what they'll sell at gigs. So they're making a comeback.
Also, the LPs are coming back?
Well, yes, but I think we've kind of topped out on that. I think there's some statistic out there that did a survey that found out that 50% of people that buy vinyl records can't play it, never do play it. They buy it as a souvenir.
Oh, I see.
Which is good for the artist,
Yeah.
because you make more money, but not necessarily great for, well, I don't know. I think it'd be better if you played it because people would enjoy it better, enjoy music
true.
more.
Do you remember I was doing recordings with Brand X?
Yes.
And I brought John Goodsall. We composed this piece together called Dance of Life. And you're the one who mixed it, didn't you?
I think so.
I'm pretty sure.
I think so.
I remember recorded it at another studio, and then you mixed it for me. You put it on DAT, which really sounded good. I still have that DAT.
Yeah.
And I have nothing to play it on.
Yeah, right. I don't know that I've...
My dad player took a dump. I don't even know how to fix it or who fixes it.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I'm close to 2 mastering studios, major mastering studios that I can walk to.
Yeah.
And I know they always have players, so I can go up there and get it transferred if I need. I haven't needed to do that in a while, but I know it's always there if I need to. Because, I don't have a player either.
Wow. What is this?
The Musician's AI Handbook. Okay. When AI first got big, kind of a couple years ago, it started to come out, there was a lot of music apps that were coming out, and I decided to find out what works and what doesn't. So I went through over 100 AI apps. Not only music, but graphics and video and all that stuff. So the book is it's about how all these apps can help you as a musician, as an artist, but it's not totally just music AI apps. And one of the things I found out was that AI is very helpful. It's a very helpful tool. It's really good. But there's limitations. The more you know about it, the more you're aware of the limitations, and the more you kind of go, I don't know that I'm going to use this because it might not give me what I want. It might take me more time to get what I want than just doing it, the traditional
Because
way.
it's kind of computer based, or
Well, yeah.
Explain AI, because people that don't know.
Yeah. Well, there's different forms of AI. The one that really works that most people are familiar with is called machine learning. So machine learning would be, for instance, facial recognition. It can also produce a lot of stuff that's, there's a lot of AI slop out there that's okay. It's not particularly creative. It's okay.
what happens to the human element? I mean,
That's just
sometimes it could be better
Well-
to a point, but then you miss the human element of it.
I'll tell you where it's really good at, and we'll just talk about audio for a second. Noise reduction. It's fantastic for doing
cuts
that.
it off.
A little bit windy. Let's see if it comes up in the audio recorder. Probably one. But yeah, I'm just chatting in the wind on my bike. It's pretty cool.
You could be in a very noisy environment and make it sound like the person's in the studio next to you. So it's extremely good at that. It's extremely good at track separation. So if, for instance, you have a stereo track and you decide, boy, I really want the drums louder, you can go in and you can separate the tracks out and just raise or lower the drums or bass or vocals or whatever. It's really good at that.
Shines, they slip into the shade. When the sun shines, sip their lemonade. When the sun shines,
It's kind of good if you talk about EQing, for instance. It will get you in the ballpark, but it's not perfect. So what it does, it will say a snare drum sound. I know what good snare drums sound like because I've trained off of these 100 snare drums that are the best sounding snare drums. So I know what it should sound like. I'm going to make yours sound just like that, and it will do that. So that's the good part. The bad part is, does it fit into the song that you're working on? Because every song is different, the arrangement is different, the playing is different, all that. So it might be the perfect sound, but not maybe the perfect sound for the track.
It doesn't have the personality.
Yeah. So, I mean, those are some of the limitations. It could do some mixing for you, but it just gets you in the ballpark. It's not, a final mix. I mean, there's lots of things it does fairly good. It doesn't, and there are some things it does even great. But you have to be aware that there are some limitations. So after going through all of these different AIs, I'm no expert, but I cautiously look at, what's available.
And that's what's in this book.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But again, there's some things, in the book, you want a logo, for instance. Well, there's your logo.
That's my logo.
And there's a number of really great AIs that will, do logos for you. There are some, I'll tell you what else is really good in audio. It's good for mastering. My mastering engineer friends are going to hate me for this, and they're always better. A real mastering engineer is always going to do a better job, but the AIs are pretty darn good. There's a trick, and most people don't know the trick. So they'll use one of the online AIs, or they use Ozone or something like that for mastering, and they'll go, it doesn't sound that much better. And the trick is you have to say, this song here, make it sound exactly like this. So it will copy the compression and the EQ curves, that's all, and it will transfer that onto your song. And it will do a great job of it.
That's amazing.
So there are things that it's especially good at. You just have to know which ones they are.
Yeah. I think in time they'll probably...
Well, maybe.
Not that I want that to happen.
No.
You still want to have that human, that guy with the ears and this needs to do
but
this.
you could say the same thing for loops and samples and everything, where there's so much of music that's based on that, but it's nothing like a real band kicking it out.
Yeah, especially drums, and
Yes.
me as a drummer, you're hitting it. It doesn't. You don't hit it. It doesn't sound like the same hit. You hit it differently. There's a snare, and there's all these different places that I'm going to hit.
Yeah.
And that makes it cool.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't sound like the same thing.
Yeah.
It's different. What's new on the agenda for you?
Well, after I started to write books, I wrote 20-some. I guess I was at book 24.
Okay, so like you've already written 24 books.
There's more than that, actually. I think it's 27.
27
They're not
books.
all on music. I think 24 are music books. There's several that are outside of the music business.
I see.
But after I wrote some, it's like, do I really want to write another book? And just thinking financially, am I going to make that much more money if I write another book? And I got into doing online courses that are based on the book.
Yeah.
And I found out that I really like building the course, and I really like digital marketing. So I took a lot of courses on digital marketing, joined masterminds, things like that. And that's been a lot of fun, to be honest with you. It's been, exercising a different part of my brain. Yeah. So the next course that's coming out, I don't know when this is going to air, but in the middle of June, I'm bringing back a course called 101 Mixing Tricks. The thing that really separates the good mixes from the great ones is when they're also interesting. This is what makes people want to keep listening, and it can come in many forms. I learned how important this is when I visited my friend, producer-engineer Ken Calais, as he was remixing Fleetwood Mac's big hit single, Dreams, for a 5.1 surround release. After he got the mix up, I asked him if I could solo each track just to hear what they sounded like in isolation. When I came upon the hi-hat track, I had to stop and say, whoa, I was just listening to the hat track, and it already sounded like a hit. It was so special. Ken told me that the secret was that he put a simple phaser on it to give some movement, and that taught me a big lesson that I never forgot. Sometimes adding just a little bit of excitement to a track can make a big difference to the overall feel of a song. These are the exact secrets that can make your mixes shine, get noticed by major labels, impress managers, and finally get your music placed in TV or film. That's what it is. It's 101 different mixing techniques that I learned from the best in the business. This actually came out in 2015. And about 2018, 2019, I thought, it feels like it's getting old. Let's start to do some other things instead. And now it feels like the right time to bring it back and update it. And that's what I've done. Oh, cool. So we're going to launch that, I think, on June 14th is when that's coming out.
And how do people find out about this? Where do they go to?
You can find out everything about my books, my blogs, my podcast, all that stuff, my courses, BobbyOwsinski.com.
Okay. How do you spell that?
BobbyOwsinski.com.
That's right.
Yeah.
Bobby, it was great having you on my show. I really appreciate it. And, our friendship continues.
And it will.
And when we first met, what did you tell me? I said something to you.
Yes, right. You were walking out the door of my apartment. You turned around, you looked at me and says, we're going to be friends for a long time.
And that was...
And we have been. This
30
over
plus
30 years ago,
later,
yeah.
We're still here. Love you, brother.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for watching the Ronnie Ciago Show, and we'll see you next time.
Take your brand national with Rockefeller's TV and AMG Outdoor Advertising. It's easier than you think. Join the thousands of advertisers who have built their businesses reaching America's most influential audiences. Be creative. We can help. Rockefeller's TV and AMG Outdoor Advertising starts here. Advertise with us today.